Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 50 Minutes podcast. I'm Espen.
And I'm Moona Kitsune.
Just quickly before we begin, I do want to say if you have not seen any of Moona's live streams recently or our Twitter post, I am now fully taking over this channel, so it is actually now my channel. The 15 Minutes podcast will be part of it and probably the main part for now. I will be posting some of my own live streams and maybe a few videos here and there, though.
Without further ado, let's jump into the next episode for today. So, for those of you who are just joining us on this episode today and are not aware, we are doing a mini-series on The School for Good and Evil, the book series, which also has a movie adaptation, which we dove into in the last podcast episode.
Which if you haven't seen, go watch that.
Yes, go watch that.
First, because you will not make any sense. The second book is called A World Without Princes. And to sum it up quickly before we dive into it, basically Sophie and Agatha, they're back in Gavelon, their hometown. They're living out their lives and some crazy stuff happens and they end up back at what used to be the School for Good and Evil, but is in fact no longer, and is now the School for Girls and the School for Boys. And they are at war, to simplify it.
Yeah, thanks for that quick little rundown. I think that's pretty accurate, actually. They're at war.
I think that is pretty accurate. I love this. This is probably my favorite book in the entire series, I do have to say.
Yeah, I do feel like that one was one of my favorites as well.
It's got just enough craziness. All right, I've got a timer set up. Shall we?
Let's jump into it. Let's go.
Cool. And the timer is started. All right, let's go straight into it. This time we're going to start at the start of the book and finish at the end of the book, because we noticed last time our thoughts were a bit jumbled and
all
to
over the
make
place.
More sense for you guys.
Just want to quickly throw out there that I will be eating snacks as we record today, so if you hear me crunching or munching, it's because I'm eating snacks.
And I'm drinking a cup of tea, so if you hear any slurping, I'm drinking tea because I just woke up.
So did I.
Alright. So the book starts with Sophie directing a play, and she's basically, this play is just a reenactment of the first book. Except she kind of twisted the roles in the play, and I remember she kind of like made herself seem a little bit better than the way she actually behaved.
Oh yeah, I remember that. She made herself look good or whatever.
Oh yeah, and people were like complaining about slightly, and I just loved it because it also, I remember the last time we talked about how like evil she was, and it also just shows, you know, she's not only evil through her action, like her physical actions, but like she's also very narcissistic.
Yeah, and she really kind of is.
The way that she just treats other people, like even sometimes the way... Look, she does get better though. I think the only person she doesn't necessarily treat bad after the first book, because in the first book it was pretty much the same, is Agatha. She's the only person I'd say she necessarily treats well. But everybody else, I'm like, this girl, like, what is her deal? She... evil. Evil.
Pure evil. And what's really funny is that everyone in Gavaldon would know that she changed it because they've read the fairy tale of Sophie and Agatha. So they know the shit she did.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, that the thought just occurred to me now, actually.
But with the... Because it's all... That actually brings up another thought to me, because it does happen a bit later on, but basically find out that they're put back to school because their ending is like erased, and so the book continues on. If the book was already published because the end was written, do you think all the books would like disappear?
That's actually a really interesting theory. Maybe, because it is all magical and stuff.
Or would it just be like a part two? I don't know.
I don't know. I think the book just continues because the way they made it sound in the story was that they said that the book was unfinished, that the fairy tale was still going. So I think it literally erased the end and just continued on from there.
Alright.
That was my interpretation.
With the play thing, you had written here about them getting praised and stuff, and the statues built for them, which I think is just the funniest thing, because Sophie would eat that up. She would love having her own statue and people asking her for autographs. And I just imagine Agatha
Oh, she
being,
did.
like, the
She
entire...
really did. She loved it.
Oh, yeah. And the thing is, I remember that Agatha also participated in it, which was weird to me because I feel like she wouldn't have been the type of person to do that. But
I feel like Sophie probably forced her to.
yeah. But Sophie's always been a little bit special, you know?
Yeah. And then I think what really got to Sophie was that when they became old news. It's like when no one really cared that much anymore.
Oh, yeah.
That's
and
when...
the wedding probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and the wedding. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So for those who don't
yes, 'cause
know,
we didn't...
Sophie's dad, her father, has a stepmom. So Sophie has a stepmom. Her name is Honora, and she doesn't want Honora and her father to get married. And think of it kind of like an evil stepmother situation, except the evil one is Sophie.
Oh yeah, I wrote it down here that although Honora, like, if you read the book, she wasn't like the nicest person to Sophie, but I kind of understand her because Sophie was so mean to her. Literally, Honora just wanted to provide for her family, and Sophie just made her life miserable.
She really did, yeah.
Like, why does it matter if, like, your dad and her found each other? Like, I know it comes out later that her dad was, like, always had a crush on Honora, like, even when he was married to Sophie's mother, but, like, back when him and Sophie's mother got married, they weren't allowed to pick who they married. It was chosen for them.
Yeah, and I think the only reason... Actually, no, I'm not going to say that now. We're going to save that for the next episode, or whichever episode includes the book in which they revealed why he did marry Sophie's mother. Do they ever give her a name? Do they ever give Sophie's mother a name?
Book 3. In the next book.
Okay, I actually don't remember her name. DM it to me afterwards.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they do at least, because you get the, grave.
Oh yeah, wait, I think I know what it was now.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot to turn my phone off, that's my bad.
But yeah, I feel like Sophie is just making everyone else, and even herself, just more miserable by the way she treats everybody.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of her specialty, making others miserable for her own gain.
Yeah. And then you have, obviously, and on the other side of things, other than Sophie making everyone miserable and being a little worse about her dad, oh no, after having his wife dead for ages, deciding, oh, you know what, I'm gonna go out with somebody else. Then you have Agatha.
Yeah, then you got Agatha.
She is, look, complete 180 from the first book, absolutely infatuated with Tedros. She's basically, to me, she took on Sophie's infatuation with Tedros.
Yeah, mate, props to Agatha for putting up with that, mate. That was bonkers.
I don't know how she does it, but this entire book, the one, like, fault I have, is the entire time she was just like, Tedros.
Yeah, oh
like,
my god.
Girl,
you can do better. You can do so much better.
But yeah,
I really like the inclusion of I think we forgot to talk about this in the movie, but the inclusion of the character of Prince Charming, the son of Prince Charming. What was that guy's name?
Yeah.
Gregor. Gregor.
Gregor.
I really like the inclusion of his character. Because I feel like...
Yes.
I feel like there could have been something with him and Agatha. You know, if it was separate to the book, you know, instead of Tedros. Yeah. I feel like he would have been like a good... if they didn't kill off Gregor, I feel like it would have been a good sort of love triangle. Gregor. Yeah. If Tedros, bloody Tedros. That's another reason I hate Tedros. He killed Gregor. Gregor's just out here trying to live his life, man.
But like, he actually had a personality though. Which is why it just stings even more.
Exactly.
But yeah.
The poor kid. I've always felt so bad for Gregor.
I feel like we didn't even talk about we barely talked about the parents in the last one, which fair enough, honestly, there's so much in the first book to talk about as well as the movie. But basically Agatha's mum, Callus, she is like an outcast, which is why Agatha's an outcast, because she's like called like a witch and everything. They live next to a cemetery. you know?
On top of a hill. I think
And
what do they call it? Graves Hill or something?
yeah, Graves Hill. And basically Callus, like in this book, she starts like questioning Agatha about the school of good and evil, and the foreshadowing this book with Callus for the next book is done amazingly.
It really
By
is.
the
Yeah,
author.
I connected the dots sort of quickly. Like I got suspicious and then
Yeah.
I connected the dots and then it made so much sense to me when I read the next book.
But it's not like overly obvious. It's not like shoving it in your face.
Which
But
is
like
really
it's still
good.
something you can
I
figure
like
out.
it when books do that. They make you think. They make you question.
Yeah.
The next point here is how Stefan, which is the name of Sophie's father, for those who don't know, never really loved Sophie's mum, and he would always go to hang out
Yeah.
with Honora even after he married her.
Yeah. I guess. See, that's the other thing when with them like not being able to get married. It's like them being picked who they married. It's like it's not really his fault, you know? Like if they had the choice of who they married, he would have never married Sophie's mum in the first place, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't really think it's fair to like put that blame on him like Sophie does, because but at the same time he also makes sure Sophie knows that he loves her, and that he wouldn't have changed it, you know, because that's his daughter and he still cares for her. But if she like blames him for all the stuff and it's like, yeah, because he never got to choose, you know?
Yeah, he never really did get a choice.
And yeah, I think that after, because Sophie kind of like complains after that. I remember like her
In classic
complaining and her
Sophie
like
fashion.
it's a classic Sophie fashion. She goes to bed, and this is where I'm going to do a bit of explaining time, aka explaining the law, because otherwise also it will make no sense. So there's a thing, it does go into it a bit in the first book, but it's really not that important in the first book. It's more so important in this book and like later ones. It's called a nemesis dream. So basically, obviously, your nemesis is your enemy, and a nemesis dream only ever happens to a nether unless you're Agatha, but I'll talk about that later. The dream basically sets who their nemesis is, and it said that they are unable to rest easy or like rest properly until they are defeated. And I just have to say, I love this in the book because I just think it's so like it adds character because like obviously they can go to sleep, but it's like restless is what like it's like written as. And so I can only think that it's like, you know, once you're sleep deprived for so much because you can't do something,
Yeah,
you
I always liked the concept of the nemesis dreams. That was really
yeah.
interesting to me because could you just imagine if you were a Never and like you were maybe buddies with an Ever? Let's just say hypothetically, right? And then like one day you have a nemesis dream and your buddy is who's an Ever is your nemesis.
Yeah.
Because I feel like something like that would always be like very interesting.
Yeah. But I feel like part of it also is like after you haven't slept for a while and you are tired, you get like you'll have different like cognitive functions and stuff that are like destroyed, absolutely obliterated. You can't control your emotions. You know,
And if you
you
look
get
at
like really
if you
agitated.
look at actual fairy tales from the perspective of the villains having nemesis dreams, it kind of makes sense because if they were if they had become like restless and desperate, then it explains like why they made some of the choices they did and
Yeah.
like where they've gone, like how and why they went wrong where they did. And I
Yeah.
find that really interesting. Like I love looking at like the School for Good and Evil and imagining like the some of the stuff from the world of the School for Good and Evil and then like applying that to actual fairy tales.
Yeah.
I always find that very interesting.
Because you know what else is interesting concept about that
What?
is that they like talk about like how Sophie and Agatha they were so lucky to get their book because it's like their story written because it's like you know not many of them actually do. And what I find interesting about that is you know all like the fairy tales with wolves in it, And like in other like kind of fairy tale like worlds, the way that they've done like in Ever After High, the way that they've done it is that the big bad wolf is the same big bad wolf in all the different fairy tales, but is it the same one or different ones in this world? You know?
Yes, wait, that's actually
Because it,
I've pictured I've always imagined it was the same. Paw turns into a werewolf. Captain Hook doesn't. So going
Yeah.
based off of that, I feel like their stories would be different. It would be new stories. It would be independent of what their parents' story is. Because otherwise, how would they get new stories? Because that's
how special is the big bad wolf then? Getting several, what, 3, 4 different stories.
mate, he must have been so evil.
He must have been top of the bloody class. You know, 3 Little Pigs, Red Riding Hood, other ones that I don't remember right now, but there probably are other ones. It's very, once again, it's very interesting to try and like apply the logic in these books to like outside.
Yeah, it's always very fun when we try to give it a go. Alright, jumping. I think we've talked about Nemesis dreams and stuff, so we're gonna jump on ahead to the point during the wedding, where Agatha's feeling grim and Sophie's anxious, and then Agatha makes a wish.
I forgot that I made this point. Is that during the wedding, Callus talking once again, more foreshadowing, talking about how the marriages were forced and that Stefan suffered worst of all, which I think is like really pushes Agatha, because through the book, you know, it confused her and she was like, what? But she never really gets an answer, and it makes her look for an answer. And if she hadn't been told that, I wonder if like some of what happened in the rest of the book would have happened. With what you were talking about before with the wish, they're at the wedding and Agatha's all like, oh, Tedros, I miss Tedros, and she makes a wish for basically for Tedros. And all I have to say about that is that without, if Agatha wasn't a lovesick idiot and wasn't all infatuated with Tedros, the entire book probably wouldn't have happened and the series could have been avoided.
Yeah, but then that wouldn't be as fun. I always thought, what I imagined was that the books that we read is what the historian wrote.
Yeah.
So, if you go for that, the story had even started continuing before she even made the wish.
I loved your comment next to this part. So basically, after the wish is made, arrows start shooting through the forest and the wedding just goes to trash. Everything, havoc ensues, it's crazy. And you just have it, the side shit goes down.
Yeah, I just put it like that because, I didn't know really what to put. That was just one of my talking points and I didn't want to lose it.
I just think, yeah. Well, because I was reading your points and I couldn't help but laugh when I read that, because I was like, yeah, that pretty much sums it up. But yeah, and there's... who actually were the people who chased her down? Because basically these people start trying to chase down Sophie and like kidnap her or whatever. Who were they actually in the end?
I think it was the school for boys.
Shit.
I think it was Cedric's henchmen.
Probably.
Yeah, because it was like guys in hoods and stuff, right? So
yeah,
so I always thought that it was Tedros's guys.
probably, most likely.
But
yeah.
The next point, they lock Sophie in a church to protect her. I didn't know. My note on that was that's kind of important, I guess.
Yeah, after this entire bit, after skimming over it and rereading it, I had this really long thing, which I'll just sum up quickly because it's probably way too long. But basically, in the end credit scene of the first movie, because of course everything has to have an end credit scene now, they kind of like lead into a second movie, but it's like different. So Sophie and Agatha, like they still have their magic. They don't like not think they don't have that, because in the book they think they don't have their magic anymore. But then Agatha realizes that she does when she thinks of Tedros. But in the end credits in the movie, they can still use their finger glow. And basically, they're just together, and then an arrow shoots through like a portal, and you hear Tedros going like I'm coming for you, Agatha, or like whatever, like he like wants her back or whatever. And
take me back, babe.
I feel like
take me back, don't leave me.
yeah, I feel like this is actually the perfect setup for a second movie, because one, Tedros is the one wishing for Agatha, and you know, because he loves her and he trusts her to like help, because I imagine that potentially maybe the schools have already been redivided into boys and girls, and this is like he's like reaching out for her to help because he trusts her.
Yeah.
And also it's something that only Tedros could do because he's stupid, you know, which is wish for somebody so bad that they come back. I don't actually think that Agatha's that stupid, and that was probably my only like bad point about the book. Two, is that it means that Agatha's character will be more true to herself, and she's not once again taking Sophie's job and becoming a little lovesick puppy for Tedros. And lastly, it would mean that basically we could cut out the entire wedding scene. You could obviously mention it, but you could cut out majority of that scene and leave space for more important stuff later, because I don't think it's actually that important. If you change the thing around and made it that Tedros is wishing for Agatha and then they're brought back, I feel like it would be way quicker, and they could save space for like more important scenes later on.
Although, and when did the movie come out? 2021 or something?
2021. 2022? I think it was 2022. Because it was after COVID.
Just quickly Googling.
But yes.
Yeah, it came out 2022. I feel like
Yes.
I really want a second movie, but if they wait too long, then the actors will get too old, and
They'll
want
be
that.
like 30 years old.
I'm very slightly starting to lose hope for a second movie.
You know, I also realized the actresses that played Agatha and Sophie, they're both their names are Sophia.
Yeah, I think one of them actually is a Sophie. I think Agatha is Sophie, and Sophie is Sophia.
Yeah.
Can you just like imagine the behind the scenes, like, Sophie, we need you on set, and then both of them are just like, huh? What? Oh, you, me or her? No, I think he means you. No. Us? No, you. Me? No, what? I feel like that would have been very funny.
There's so many movies like that when I think about it, that like, it's like, either they share the character, one of them is, that's the actor's actual name, and the other person, that's their character name. And like, because on some sets for movies, they'll like call the people by their character names, and some they'll call them by their actual name. And so I've seen so many like behind the scenes clips of like confusion ensuing. I feel like their names would just make it even more confusing.
Have you seen the author's TikTok page? Because he put the behind the scenes up, and it was so funny. It was so cute just seeing everyone all together. Oh my god. Horse frog pajamas.
Yeah, because we're on the topic of the movie. Basically, once again, Agatha realizes that she can still use her her finger glow. What am I on about?
You watched too many musicals, have you?
I clearly have not clocked in yet, but she can still use her finger glow when she thinks about Tedros, and it like glows really, really brightly. And they don't really, I don't know, I can't remember if they actually talk about it in that much in the book, but I feel like they explain it better in the movie. But their Dovey's all like, your finger glow glows brighter when your emotion is stronger. And therefore your magic and your finger glow is stronger. So because she's in love with Tedros, when she thinks about him, boom, magic. To simplify it.
Yeah, that's pretty good simplification of it.
I'll let you go on about your flower grounds now.
Oh my god, man, the flower grounds. Okay, let's jump into this. Let's bloody jump into this. So,
Just
the
quick warning, we
flower
have 22
grounds.
minutes.
Oh damn! Wow, we're not gonna get through this whole book. Basically, we gotta skip a whole lot of this. Let's just get after this. Let's just jump to the important
No,
stuff.
we'll just have to talk a bit quicker.
Easy. Okay, so for those of you who
Just-
don't know, we talked about the flower grounds in the previous episode, so go check that out if you missed that. So in the flower grounds, look, the flower grounds are pretty important. It's basically like an underground subway, like in the dirt and stuff, soil, whatever. Think of it, something like that. Anyway, in the last, this is my little if with it, my little iffy thing. So they come back with the flower grounds in this book as well, and it's pretty important in this part here because it's pretty much how they get away from the men in red hoods, which is the boys from the school for boys. And yeah, if they don't have that in the movie, my confusion and problem with it was how would they do that in this book? How are they going to get away? Unless they introduce the flower grounds in this movie.
But then they have to go through the whole discussion of how to use it and everything, and how would they even know what it was? And here, we get back to the school. Congratulations, we're now at the school. So, Lady Lasso and Debbie find them, and they're explaining that basically now it's split between girls and boys, and Tedros is now the schoolmaster. Hooray!
Oh
Great.
dear.
And
Oh dear.
basically, he's giving Agatha an ultimatum, and basically saying, well, you need to pick either me or Sophie. And all I have to say for that is that he is a childish and jealous person, and honestly, I can't believe that he's not a Never, because he's acting just like some of them.
He really is. I
And
feel yeah.
And he
But then I guess
continues to do so.
they can't really make the son of King Arthur never, so
I guess. Some of the way he acts, I'm like, you are literally on par with them. Like, you put your nose up and you act snubbly towards them, but you're no better than them. You're jealous and you are snobby, you know? Then again, that kind of goes for a lot of the Evers now that you think about it, because they're they're
Beatrice.
so used to winning that they kind of, like, stuck up.
Okay, I don't think they talk about it in our dot points, but Beatrice is bold now. She was so
Yes.
proud of her beautiful hair and whatever, and now she's just bold and she's loving it. Ugh. I can't picture a bold Beatrice.
I can picture I actually look.
Like, I can
want
picture
to-
it, but it just feels
That's one
wrong.
of the main reasons. I imagine like Buzzcut, honestly. I want to see that actress. I don't know her name, and I feel so bad, but the actress would be Beatrice. That's why I want a second book, is because I feel like she, under all those beautiful, it was probably a wig, but under all those beautiful blonde curls, would have the perfectly shaped head. I imagine
The actress,
Beatrice
the actress
perfect
is
in every way.
Holly Sturton. Sturton?
Yeah, she was brilliant.
She did so good.
In the first book we talked about, they got rid of a character called Seda, and literally in the second book, the main like kind of evil person in it is Evelyn Seda, his sister, and it's like, fuck, how are they gonna like replace her or change her? Because I loved her, and she in the book she's described to have this beautiful like blue dress that's like covered in like butterflies, and I've dreamed of that dress. Like, I want that dress. You don't understand what that dress means to me.
I've always loved sorry, I'm just, this is very kind of off topic, but I've always loved the big dress that Sophie wears at the end of the first movie. Oh,
Yes.
that's gorgeous, that dress.
That's the other thing, is because we know how well they did the costumes in the first movie, I can only imagine what they'll do with like the second one, if a movie is ever made.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The costumes department absolutely ate in this movie.
Yeah. Basically, to sum it all up, though, after they meet Evelyn Sada, she introduces them to the school of girls, they get a welcoming party, and they get this performance by all the girls, and they're like seeing all these people like, these were the people who were from both the Ever and Never schools last time, like they're all so different. Sophie's loving it, and Agatha is hating it, which I think is very funny, because Agatha was so passionate about women not just being damsels in distress in the first book. And, like, I know that this isn't, like, the best case situation, but, like, she doesn't feel like she's encouraging them at all. Like, I feel like what she could have done is she could have, like, swayed it to, like, slightly indirectly help her in, like, what she was trying to do. But she didn't. She just kind of, like, stuck her nose up at them, and I was like, why? They're finally, like, accepting themselves and realizing that they don't just have to be pretty little useless things, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Agatha, of course, goes and talks with Annabelle, Hester, and Dot, who, look, I feel like this is the same for, like, lots of the Nevers, but I feel like the Nevers, honestly, some of them are more mature, especially the Coven, because, like, I think it's because they haven't, like, you know, they haven't won in all these years, so they're, like, they kind of, like, once again, the Evers were a bit snobby and the Nevers weren't really, because they hadn't won in so many years. And Hester, Annabelle, and Dot, they realize, because they want their stories, they want to be able to be the villains in the stories and do what they've literally lived their whole life waiting to do, you know? And they recognize that they can't do that unless it's fixed, and so that's why they go and help Agatha, even though they're on completely different sides.
I just remember, this is going to be important for later episodes, Agatha could use Excalibur in the movie.
Oh my god. She could. Oh shoot. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
I completely forgot.
That would be very important. We'll have to note that down somewhere.
Write that down! Write that down!
Write it down.
Write that down! Write that down! Okay. Anyway.
I'll put it underneath somewhere.
Alright, in the next
really bold
point.
Letters.
While in class, Agatha sees Tedros as a spirit. He tells her to cross the halfway bridge, visit him. What's next on the dot points? Oh yeah, the Phantom Pigeon. They're in class doing modifications and whatever. So basically similar to the Golden Goose case, but not really. Like, just, I say it's similar because it reiterates how evil Sophie is. So they had to mogrify into, like, birds or something. And Sophie couldn't transform back, and she ended up just killing a phantom pigeon.
I'll just quickly go down to it because it's entangle what you're saying. Basically, is it a mogriff? Is that how you say it?
I say mogrification.
A mogriff, though. Just because mogrification is the action of transforming, but a mogriff is a human who's been turned into an animal or a plant. Now, obviously, in the first book, the best example that I can give is in the first book, the wish fish, bloody tongue time. But in this book, they don't mention it as much, but they talk about, in this one, a mogriff shield around the school of boys, and I imagine that like the plants, that being like the plants, like a thorn, like a gate or something, or like just some like. So I imagine it being plants instead of animals.
Just because we are running out of time, let's just skip all the small stuff and let's go into all the important stuff, like the big plots and climaxes and stuff.
Yes. All right. We talked about the bridge thing in the last episode, kind of, so we can skip over that.
The potion, the gender potion.
Yes.
So this is very important, actually.
Yeah. So Sophie basically is trying to sneak into the school of boys because Agatha went there to meet with Tedros, and Sophie's trying to sneak in there. So she does a whole bunch of different things to try and get in there that don't work. She even guts a whole bunch of snakes and makes a cape out of them, which is so great for a little princess who couldn't even get her hands dirty last book. But when they're in the tower, this is very important for the next part. Agatha and Tedros are about to kiss.
And then Sophie
And-
shoots like a beam of like magic at them to stop them, and then Tedros thinks that it's
Even before that, Tedros says Sophie must die so then Agatha can be with him. It's not enough for Agatha to just choose, and I was like, damn, dramatic. Like, to me, I wrote here, it's a red flag. Like, is she not allowed to talk with anybody except for you?
Exactly. A little spoiled prince just has to get what he wants.
Yeah. And also, he, like, literally, and that's when I think that's when they are, like, the thingy is shot at them. I don't remember what it was.
It was just like a beam of magic, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was from Sophie.
And then Tedros is like, so you brought Sophie into the tower, blah blah blah, and then he like declares war immediately, and it's like, did this dude sit down at all and think about this? He's meant to be king. He's gonna be king.
Yeah.
And he's literally just like, oh my god, you've let her into this tower. You guys must all die. War. And I'm like, dude, what? Like,
yeah, and then for a while, Agatha thought he shot at her too. I'm pretty sure
he did it, and he's meant to run an entire kingdom. Like, she at least sat down and thought it through, and later on, like, realized what actually happened. He has no second thoughts, just straight into like craziness.
Which this whole thing that he's supposed to run a kingdom, we'll jump into that in one of the next books. Okay, so all this stuff we can skip. Let's just go.
Yeah, blah 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 blah. War. Oh wow,
they're on good terms again.
Information. Yeah. But basically, Sophie turns into a boy throughout this somehow.
Because of a potion, because gnomes have the ability to change their genders if they want. And based off of that, Merlin created a potion that lets you change your gender. Which is very important for another character. Another character who we don't have time to jump into that today, but if you want to find out, go read the books. Okay, I guess we could really quickly.
We can do it quickly. I can go through it pretty quickly.
Yep,
Sophie turns into Philip, goes to the school of boys. She's talking with Tedros. They're like, oh my god, we're besties now. Yada yada yada. And then the trial by tale starts, which is this like war thingy it's before the war, but the trial by tale starts. Few students from each school, the top students, need to fight, blah 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 blah. If you want to know more about it, go to the wiki, or I'll make a small video on it, I guess. But basically, they're competing in trial by tale. By the way, because Tedros and Philip are now best friends. Remember, Philip is Sophie. Tedros and Philip are now partners in the trial by tale, and they find a girl in a tree who's like dying, and then Philip, or Sophie, realizes that it's Yara from the School of Girls. But then she turns from a female into Tristan, who's from the first book, and yeah, and
he's the guy that Kiko has a crush on.
Yeah, and he basically is like he basically looks at Philip and is like, the Storian is hidden in your book, because throughout this entire book, Sophie and Agatha have been trying to find the Storian so they can write the end and fix everything. And Tedros is like, what? Then Philip is like, oh, Tristan knows that I'm Sophie because the spell is wearing off. Brilliant. Perfect timing, don't you think? And then basically
more shit goes down.
Oh my god! Wait, I just read that and I forgot that. What?
What happened?
Wait. Tedros and Philip share an emotional moment. They are about to kiss when Agatha sees them. What?
What? When? I don't remember this.
What?
Give me my book back. Okay. Give me my book back. I need to reread this. What?
Okay. What?
What?
Bisexual Tedros? You know what? I'm up for that. Give me that. However, then the spell turns Philip back into Sophie. Great. And
basically it's that scene from Mulan.
Yeah.
Woman! Attack!
Yeah,
Essentially.
basically.
Like,
To
I know that's
simplify
not
it.
how it went down in the Mulan movie, but
Oh,
mm.
except Tedros and Agatha are on good terms again.
Yay.
And Agatha is like, I choose you, Tedros.
I choose you, Pokemon art.
Oh yeah. And then I need somebody to draw that.
Agatha doing
And
Pokemon
then
with Tedros.
of course, because we can't have anything be too standstill for too long, Lady Lesso appears in the trial by tail, which is bad. You can't do that. So
Teachers are not allowed to intervene.
basically she's basically picked up by butterflies and thrown away. Trial by tail ended. Now, guess what, guys? War! Yay!
More war.
Except hole in the bridge. Nobody can cross. Girls and boys shouting at each other from across a broken bridge.
Brilliant.
Then, yeah, the ending, I actually didn't read over the last 2 paragraphs, so if you'd like to conclude for us before we make our final
Oh, yes. So
points on the
basically,
book.
in a nutshell, everyone's fighting. They're all fighting. War. And then, suddenly Evelyn appears with the original copy of the Tale of Sophie and Agatha. With the so yeah, like what Tristan said, the story is in your book. It was, and it reveals at this point that it was Evelyn who forced Sophie's witch symptoms to appear.
Which, by the way, witch symptoms, guys? Warts on the nose or on your face.
Balding.
And you start turning, like, ugly.
Yeah, pretty much. And Sophie did not like that.
Nemesis dreams.
Yeah. So Evelyn was sort of puppeteering everything from the get-go. And then
Because she's evil.
Agatha becomes even more... Okay, yeah. So because Evelyn forced Sophie's witch symptoms to appear, Agatha becomes even more sure of choosing Tedros over Sophie. So she's about to kiss Tedros, but before the end can be written in the book, Evelyn puts her finger in the way of the pen and it jabs her finger, like it's gone through her finger, right? She just without even flinching, she just simply removes it, sucks the blood off her finger, and goes, yeah, well actually, Sophie, why don't you, you deserve it, you deserve a true ending. And then she uses Sophie's wish to see her mother again, and this is where it gets really freaky. So there's like this, not really a hologram, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, this weird vision thing of her mother, and the mother's like, Sophie, if you really love me, kiss me, your mother, and like that's totally not weird. That can make all your wishes and dreams come true if you just kiss me, Sophie. And it's really weird. I was so confused. And then you know who it turned into after she kissed her? Rafal, the evil schoolmaster. Wow.
Crazy, right? Oh no, he's back.
And then, so now that he's revived, he sort of whisks Agatha and Tedros back to Gavaldon, and that's how the book ends. That's the end. The schoolmaster's back, Rafal's back. Sophie and Tedros, sorry, not Sophie and Tedros, Agatha and Tedros are in Gavaldon. And
Now,
they hit you with a cliffhanger.
When I read that cliffhanger, I was like so excited for the next book because I was like, oh my god, yeah, that sounds so cool. The next book, I think we might do like a small, like little, chunk 1 and chunk 2, because I believe that the next book should have been 2 books. I do not like the next book at all.
Oh yeah, I forgot. In that book, they
book.
literally put like 2 books in one. I forgot about that.
Oh, it stops and then they completely restart it, and I'm like, what? Did I miss something? Why is the book continuing? They could have been 2 separate books. They should have been 2 separate books. I can't stand the 3rd book. I loved this 1st and 2nd book. The 3rd book was bad. 5th book was okay, so I kept on reading. 6th book I didn't... Wait. Sorry. 4th book was okay. 5th book I didn't really like. 6th book was hit or miss. I
don't think I'm even up to the 6th one yet. I still need to read it.
You'll need to read it.
Yeah. Oh, I think I need to finish the 5th one. Oh, yeah, because we're doing podcasts on this, Moona. You kind of need to know what you're talking about.
There's gonna be something that happens on the sixth one, and you're gonna be like, yes, but then something else is gonna happen. You're gonna be like, no.
Someone's gonna
Why?
get offed. I can feel it. I can feel it.
But yes, we still actually have a minute and 30, so I do love this book. I do just have to say. I know we rushed through some of it, but it's not really like the important stuff. I guess the more important stuff that we did talk about, we got through. But I guess
Yeah,
I love
half of this book
because
was
of the
really
way-
just like war and the trial by a tale, pretty much.
and those are the bits of the book that I'm like, okay, yeah, yada yada yada, whatever. But I love the foreshadowing in this book. It really gets you to think about it, and I also love the characters. All the scenes with Evelyn Sader, loved them. Like the way that she's described, and like just everything about her. She is so cool.
Yes, yeah,
But
she
yeah,
was definitely one of
we
my
thought-
favorite villains in this series.
Oh yeah, I was so sad when she was gone, and I was so glad when they brought her back.
They brought her
yeah,
back?
I think that's. Oh,
When did they bring her
you haven't
back?
finished.
Mm,
Mm.
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 When did they bring her
Maybe
back?
read the rest of the books.
I thought they killed her off. I thought she's dead.
Oh, oh. But nobody's ever truly dead, especially not if it's in a vision or a book. Anyway, I think that's our time. But
I'm questioning everything. Can I have my book back? I need to reread everything now.
but yes, if you finish book 5 and 6, you may understand what I'm talking about.
I need to finish book 5. I'm gonna go do that before my stream. Finish book 5.
But yes, I love this book. I loved this book so much. It was very entertaining. I loved re-skimming through it and like rereading sections. It was great. Probably this one's probably my favorite, aside from the first one, because the first one was a great introduction. It was just said the third one did not live up to the standards I'd set because of the first two. But yes, I think that's all for today. If you haven't seen everyone else's channel, in the description, go follow everybody else.
Also in the channel page. And if you want to give us recommendations on what to do podcasts about, then what you can do is join our free Patreon, emphasis on free. You can join our free Patreon, you can give us all the recommendations you want there, and we will have a look at that. We look at the Patreon, guys.
But yeah, any topics
It's
that you're
free.
interested in, please,
Games,
we have a group
books,
chat. Go type it in.
other
we'll
stuff,
look
yeah.
it up and we'll post.
Yes. Give us the recommendations. And if you've watched this far to the end, what are you doing? Make sure you hit that subscribe button. You just listened to a whole hour-ish of a podcast and you're not subscribed?
Yep.
What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button. Let us know what you want to see. Don't forget to comment down, I don't know, your favorite parts of the book or something.
And if you haven't read the books either, even though we kind of ran through it today, still go read them, support the author. They are pretty good. I know we complained about a few things, but once again, you're gonna have problems with pretty much any piece of media that you pick up. It's really just for fun, but go support the author, read the books, and come with us on this little ride.
And don't forget to join the Discord. Oh, wait, you don't have a
Yes.
Discord yet. Oh god. Oops.
Well, they can join your channel, because I'm kind of on that.
Yeah, Espen is there. Join my Discord to interact with Eternia V. Go follow us on all of our
Pretty sure
socials.
We've all kind of just based there, and Carlbot does a good job.
Oh,
promoting,
I
so
want to
I
fist
think-
fight Carbot, man. I have so many problems with that turtle.
I love him. He's so cute.
He's showing rot,
He's
I'll tell you
adorable.
later. He's adorable, but I want to fist fight this little guy. Alright,
Yeah.
I think that's enough. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast, and we will see you next fortnight. Not the game. The not the game.
Not the game in 2 weeks.
Alright. What's the thing we say? Time out, time out!
I'm out.